Welcome to My Skeptical Sister.
I'm Meghann, the skeptical one.
And I'm Erin, the believer. And we are on episode 13, I do believe.
We also could call it Snowgeddon.
Oh my gosh.
Snowed in.
I know. I looked outside right before I was telling you to come over and thought, oh, I don't know if she's going to come over.
Across the street. Well, I come out and your husband, bless his heart, because he's...
Don't tell him this. It makes me sound like the worst.
You already did it for him once, so you thought he was good to go. Like, okay, so Kevin has had an injured foot, so he's on crutches. And I look out the window. I'm like leisurely getting my stuff together. And I look out the window and this poor man got his ice scraper pole all the way out. And he's like trying to bang on the other side because he's in a boot. And I was, a boot?
Oh,
like,
how fitting since he's Canadian.
Right? He's a boot. But I said, I got to go help that poor man. And so I was like skiing across there trying to help him. But all I was wearing was this little sweater. So the whole time I'm out there, I'm like, well, why am I so nice? This is bullshit.
I don't know why.
But then I got in here and you're like, I did that like an hour ago. I thought he'd be good to go.
Yeah. So I had gone out to bring the trash bin back out before dinner.
Right.
Before I started cooking dinner. So I had my coat on and he goes, are you going to go shovel the driveway? And I was like, oh,
shovel
gosh.
the driveway?
No, I don't want to do that at all. I said, no, I was going to go get the trash. And he was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, all right, good. I'm glad that was a joke. Right. And then I moved on and then I start making dinner. I'm like, barely started. And he said, so are you not going to shovel the driveway?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I guess I can, but I'm cooking dinner.
You know what really sucks about that is that's the only joy about being virtual.
Right.
Is not having to like shovel your driveway to go to work or like dust off. You're like, oh, at least I don't have to do that.
Right.
But poor you, because, okay, we could say poor your husband for being a boot, but
yeah, thank you.
You've had to do it all.
Oh.
Taking out the garbage, everything. Come on, Kev, get this put together.
No, we're working on it. Speaking of watching things, and then we'll move on because I know we've got long stories tonight. I totally forgot that you had told me to watch Surviving Death. Mm-hmm. And then I had watched that first episode and then forgot to go back because
I kind of forgot to go back.
I think it's because you said that the second one was kind of and I agree with you. It was whatever. But the rest of the show was really interesting.
Pressed through.
I did.
Okay, good.
I pressed through. Have you watched all of them?
No, I stopped at the second one.
Okay, the last one is a reincarnation story, and you could just skip all of them and just watch that.
Okay,
last one.
I will.
I mean, the other ones are good.
Reincarnation stories.
Man, that last one is so good. While I was listening to it, I thought, oh my gosh, if that wasn't so wordy, it would be our perfect tagline.
So, what was it?
Okay, let me pull it up because I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget.
Wait, are we gonna get copyrighted? Like,
I don't think so. He mentions someone once said that's how he referenced it. I think we'll be fine.
Then he should be copyrighted.
That's right. If he gets sued, that's fine by me. Just don't sue us.
Or we should just say we were the ones that once said that.
Oh, no, that's how you get sued.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
Okay, so he said, for the believer, no proof is necessary. For the skeptic, no proof is believable.
Ooh.
Isn't that good?
That is good.
I know.
Yeah, that is our tagline.
I know, it's perfect.
Man, we might have to start using that.
Yeah, but it's not catchy. You know, like...
I mean...
Whatever.
I don't know.
But it is interesting.
Somewhere. Yeah, it is good. I like it.
Okay, so I have two stories. One is a little one, and one is a bit longer. Mm-hmm. And then you've got like an epic page-worthy
a novel that... Oh my gosh, I swear it's so well written, but if anybody else had sent me this, I would not have read the 10 pages. It was 10 pages. Oh, but he's so near and dear. I read it all. And it was really good. It was actually really good writing. Really, like, I wanted you all to get to hear it. So we're going to figure out some way for it to be accessible to everybody. But 10 pages. And we'll get to who it's from and all of that jazz and good stuff once it comes my turn. But
yeah, well, I'll go ahead and read my quick one.
Okay.
To get it going, and then we'll go into the epic story.
Okay.
So this is from Marion. I lived in a house in Germantown, which is a little suburb in Louisville. It was a Camelback shotgun house built in about 1890. When the kids lived at home, their rooms were upstairs. When they moved out on their own, the upstairs was just unused. It was 2005. My friend wanted to share my house. She'd rent the upstairs. Seemed like a win-win. In pretty short order, she started complaining about our next-door neighbors playing music during the night. Our neighbor's house was very close, but my window was much closer to them, and I never heard anything. She complained about it for a while, but never bothered them. She started sleeping with sound-canceling earphones and listening to white noise. So after she moved on, after a few months, my oldest son came over and helped me paint up there. He decided he'd sleep upstairs in whichever room he wasn't painting that day. He came downstairs in the wee hours to ask me if I could hear the music. He said it sounded like a player piano. He swore he could hear poker chips and the sound a mug or bottle makes when put down on wood. He refused to sleep up there, painted with a stereo blasting. So he was the person number 2 to hear it. I never heard it until... and then cut to about 5 years later. So it says, in 2010, my partner and I fostered a baby girl. We were old and anxious about sleeping on a different floor from her. We moved upstairs, made her nursery the other bedroom, and our son directly below us. Baby monitors all over because he was unpredictable and the baby was on a heart monitor. I was exhausted one night and so worried about all the things we moms worry about.
Aww.
I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned and I dozed but never fell completely asleep. As I drifted, I kept hearing mandolin music. My grandpa played mandolin, so it was sweet like a memory, but more. My partner reported twice hearing piano music. I never told her because I thought she'd think I was nuts. I still think I might be. Ask me some... Sorry, that was the dog. So sorry. Ask me sometime about the International Bourbon, or Your Mommy is Right Here, or Feathers and Walnuts. I gotta know what that means.
So sorry. Hold on. I was with this whole story and then she snored and then we went into like Narnia or something. I'm like, Feathers and Walnuts?
Yep, that's what it says.
These are like other stories.
Yeah.
She's listing off.
Right.
Oh my gosh. First of all, she needs to write our descriptions because I'm totally intrigued.
Right.
Feathers and Walnuts?
Right. And then the last sentence is, I might be crazy, or maybe once you have a near-death experience, it all becomes clearer. You tell me.
Okay, Miriam.
I want all
all those things out. You definitely have to write back.
I'm very interested about My Mommy is Right Here and your near-death experience. And just for plain curiosity, I got to know what Feathers and Walnuts is all about.
Oh, that's the one I'm the most curious about. Like, give me that. That is so bizarre.
Right.
Oh, wow. Well, good. I mean, Miriam sounds like she might be a well of ghost stories.
Right, I know.
Paranormal things. We'll have to hit her up for sure.
Yeah, so what I like about this story is that even though nothing really spooky happens, it seems almost like the music sounds different to different people.
Right.
Like to her son, it kind of sounded like a poker game.
A bar.
Music.
I'm like, why would you be scared? I'd be joining them. I'm like, yeah, it sounds like a fun room to be in.
Right. And then to her, it was like the mandolin, which was a sweet memory to her. So it's like,
yeah, like what
so
is it?
Weird.
Like, is this if you believe, like, would it be like something triggering your own, like it's like tailored to your sensitivity, you know?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's interesting.
I know.
That's really cool. Okay, so I love all of, like you said, how they all just kind of, different people had different experiences with it. But to me, that almost is the debunk because, you know, you have your own. Like Miriam, she even says I was drifting off and, you know, kind of in and out. And she heard this sound. Now she had heard from somebody else that sounds happen in that room.
Okay.
So it could have been part of her dream. And then she wakes up and she's like, oh, that was it. I finally heard it, you know, whereas the other ones that heard it, you know, again, I don't know how close these houses were together. Sounds travel. If it was the neighbors.
Yeah. I don't know.
They could have had some sound coming in from, you know, again, music playing, unless you're like one of our first, where she was like way out in a farmhouse out in the country and no neighbors around.
Yeah.
That's a little like, oh, how does that happen when the music starts playing? Where's that source coming from? But with Miriam, I don't know. She might live out in the country. I have no idea.
No, Germantown.
Oh yeah. Germantown. Those houses are boom, 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 right together. So to me that room might be, you know, sound could travel very easily into that room. So that's what I'm gonna go with.
All right. She did say her room was closer to the neighbors than.
Yeah, I know. But sound is weird. Sound bounces. Sound does weird things. Yeah. Scientists could explain it better than I could. But that's my debunking, is that I think it still can be explained. So what's also, and I could just hear Jody yelling at our podcast right now, because it's a coincidence that the person who wrote in the like drum roll of who this mystery guy is that wrote 10 pages is my former roommate.
Okay.
Who we've talked a lot about on here. So, but the coincidence is, when you were talking about painting a room, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so weird, because I was just going to tell the story about like our first ghost, because I thought, well, here it is. I have not ever told my experiences that you kind of teased me about having and still not believing. And they've all happened with Jack. So I thought, well, in honor of him writing in, I'll just kind of go through what we went through, what we experienced. So Jack and I moved in together. Oh my gosh, by now, like almost 10 years ago, but we lived together for a total of 5 years. And the first house we lived in, we loved it. It was like this shotgun house, 2-story shotgun house. And it had like kind of a spiral staircase that like turned at the top, not completely spiral, but and just like quirky, it was really cool. So we were super excited. Plus Frankfurt Avenue, we love that area. So we're real excited to move in there. And but we wanted to paint everything, because one thing that Jack and I got into a really bad habit of is fixing up other people's homes. We were renting them. We weren't getting paid anything to do it, but we're like, let's make this house beautiful. So, we put new floors in.
Oh my gosh.
I know it's pretty stupid, but now that I look back on it, but anyway, we kind of had an overlap before we moved in. So we had plenty of time to kind of get in there and work on it without living in it. So Jack told me he was in there putting in a new kitchen floor at night, and he was like, oh no, there's some things happening here. Like, he kept telling me he would hear like conversations happening up above. So I'm like, of course, the skeptic, thinking, well, that's probably the neighbors, like, because houses were very close together. So I'm like, that's just a neighbor's got a window open. Sound is traveling from upstairs. I feel like that's easily explained. He's like, I don't know. So of course, in Jack and Meghann fashion, we named our ghost Alejandro, because we thought that was so sexy. So we're like, Alejandro, and we'd talk to him all the time. And because he and I are both thinking that has got to be one sexy ghost up there. And we're picturing what he would be like. And it got a little ridiculous sometimes. But anyway, now, like the next week or so after he finished the floors, I was in there. I was like, okay, I'll paint. So I was in there painting and by myself. And Melissa, my friend Melissa, was going to come over and help me. And I do have all the windows and doors open. So this is where I debunk my own thing. Except for that, it sounded like somebody was in the house very near me, like walking through the doorway, and said very distinctly, hello, like you would if you were expected to be there.
Yeah.
So I thought it was Melissa. I'm in the middle of the room painting. I said, hey girl, come on back. Well, I keep painting. And I keep painting. I'm like, she must be looking around, whatever. Well, then I'm like, oh my gosh, what is she looking at? There's only one room in between us. So I went out there and there was nobody there. So I sent her a message, hey, where'd you go? Because maybe she forgot something in her car. She said, oh, I'm about 10 minutes away.
Oh,
so that was weird. It was bizarre. But at the same time, again, houses are so close together.
Yeah.
That could have been the neighbors.
What if somebody walked in, they're like, hello, and they're like, oh shit, this is the wrong house. And like very quietly back down.
Exactly. Oh, that would be great. And they're probably still telling that story like one time. And I probably freaked that person out thinking it was a ghost. Yeah, exactly. So I can debunk that one pretty easily, but I was like, that was the first tinge of like, oh, that was weird, like creepy a little bit. But okay, so then here's the humdinger of ghost stories for me that I can't really understand.
Okay.
Are you laughing because I used the word humdinger?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if it was because you're laughing at the fact that it was a humdinger and I couldn't, or the fact that I used humdinger. Whatever.
Either one, but
humdinger. People use that word.
Yeah, old people do.
Shut up. Okay, so anyway, Jack. Now, okay, also need to set this up. That Jack, by the way, living with Jack is terrifying. And his poor current husband, I mean,
only husband. You made that sound like it was temporary.
It was almost because I felt like Jack and I were in a relationship. We were very codependent. So I don't feel like I was his first husband, but I kind of was.
Poor Andrew was like, I'm sorry.
Like, what does that mean? Were you married before and I'm just now finding this out? No, I doubt Andrew listens to our podcast because he scares very easily. But
that's true.
But anyway, Andrew, his husband, one and only, bless his heart, because he scares very easily, and God love him, he's living with Jack now. So Jack would do things to great lengths to scare me. Like I would usually come home later than Jack, be out partying or whatever, and I'd come home and there would be literally a full-size dummy in my bed, like tucked in.
Oh my God.
I'd turn the lights on, and with a werewolf mask on. So I'd turn the lights on, and there's a werewolf in my bed at 4:00 in the morning. Scare the shit out of me. He would take dolls that he would get these things, like he would go and seek them from like the scariest things he could get at like antique shops, whatever.
Right.
And he would get them, and we did have a very creepy basement. The basement was kind of, it was just old and creepy, but the stairs to get down there were very creepy, and they had this weird like a door hatch thing that opened up like halfway down the stairs. It was very bizarre. Very old house. And one time he put one of these creepy ass dolls like hanging out of that. So you open the door to go down the scary basement to begin with, and there's this doll staring. He would do stuff all the time. Scare me, like jump out, just constant terror living with him. Scare me while I was blow dry my hair once.
Very quick interjection here.
Yeah.
He is also my boss. He's the principal at my school. And so often, like on my planning, I have to make samples. So I'll be sitting there quietly working, just focused on my art, working. And he'll very quietly peek his head in my door and go, "Cuckoo!"
Yeah,
so
his bird
loud.
call.
Oh my gosh. There's never a time it doesn't scare me to death. And every time I'm like, Jack.
And he dresses in costume all the time. Like one of the teachers at school was really mad at him once because he dressed up and would not talk. And she was, first of all, kind of upset that they interrupted her class and was like, "Who is this?" Is the principal, by the way. But he's like in there and he's like acting all silly. And she's like getting mad at him. And he just keeps on acting silly. And I'm like, Jack, he is such a prankster. But anyway, he was very fun to live with. But at the same time, pretty terrifying. So I can't even blame this on Jack. And so that's where this gets like in that zone of I can't explain it except for that I don't think it was something paranormal, but I don't know what else it could have been. Okay. Yeah. So Jack was out running a marathon because he's also an avid runner. And he was out running a marathon. So he left at like 5:00 that morning. And I had probably just gotten in and gone to bed. And then I had a wedding I had to go to, or like in Owensboro. So I had to hurry up and get up pretty early to get, showered and dressed and get there by the time the event happened. So I'm getting up at, whatever, like 8.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's still running. And I go downstairs and I shower. And I came upstairs, and this is also, we had just moved in. We moved all my stuff finally into my bedroom. So stuff is everywhere, but we had just moved this dresser in that was so heavy. It took like 4 of us to move it in because the drawers were so stuck because it was like my dresser from when I was a kid because that's how I roll. Hand-me-downs. I think I probably just got rid of that dresser when I got married because it was like, maybe it's time now that I'm old and married. So anyway, but we were carrying it up and he was mad. I remember Jack being mad that these drawers would not come out because he was like, this would be so much lighter if we could get them to come out, but they were stuck. And he's a fit guy and he was like trying to pull them out, could not get them out, couldn't unscrew them, could not get them out.
Yeah.
So he carried this big dresser up these winding stairs and get it in, right? So then, that was the day before. Next day, wedding, get up, and I go upstairs, and the middle drawer has been taken out and dumped upside down. So all the clothes that were inside of it are now in the middle of the floor.
Huh.
And the day before, we could not, they were bolted in. We could not get this done. So I just simply said out loud, Alejandro, if us calling you Alejandro offends you, then we will stop. And and then my first instinct, I went and looked for Jack. I was like, he's home. He's got to be home. His race ran early or ran, whatever, got done early. No, he was not home. His car was nowhere to be found. I think I even went as far as to text his brother and ask, like, are you with Jack? He's like, yeah, we just got done with the race. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I just left and went to a wedding and pretend like it never happened. That's how I get over it. And so I have no idea. If you are like me and you're skeptic and you have a theory, please tell me the theory because it has kind of bugged me for many years.
Yeah.
Do you have a theory?
I mean, your usual theory is a squatter. But why would a squatter
I
come
don't
and
think, here's my thing. I didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
I don't think that I could have heard somebody getting that drawer out
Right.
without hearing it, because it was in there. I mean, it was like, it was not going to come out.
Yeah, that's really spooky.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I just remember being like, oh shit, Jack might have been right about these voices that he heard. And like, maybe we need to tread a little lighter in this house than, you know, so, and then other things happened in other houses, but they were like, again, I could debunk them all. That was the one that was like, you tell me what happened. I don't know.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Yes. Okay, so even opening his email right now is cracking. His email, no, it's not an email. It's a document. It was sent through an email. It's 10 pages long. So in true Jack fashion, I mean, he is cracking me up. So this is going to be choppy. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's going to be choppy. Try to follow along. It'll be funny. And again, we'll try to see where we can post it. And not because of Jack's writing, because there's just no way we would be here for 2 hours, you know, doing this. So, so I'm basically going to retell his story, and then read the 2 little mini stories in it that I think are good. So that's how we're going to go. But I will read his opening because it's funny and it's Jack. I mean, it's just, he's great. Picture it. Louisville, 2020. The pandemic was sticking around longer than we expected and longer than we wanted. It wasn't ever wanted, right? Like a pimple, but worse. A lot worse. Anywho, my pandemic pod, the ladies I'll call the podesses, and I were enjoying a private one-woman drag queen show on the first day of our pandemic staycation. So Jack did get into a little bit of hot water once he sent this to us, because I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Your best friend, former roommate, and I didn't make it into the podess group. But okay, whatever. And then I can just see him now. He's like, well, you shouldn't have had kids.
Right.
Because that'll do it. You get kicked out real fast. They some of them do have kids, but they're grown. Right. So yeah, I decided to have kids late in life and I got booted out. No, but it's okay. We had plenty of years of fun times. So I'll just remind myself of that. But he did get a little bit of an earful when I read this. So anyway, and then he talks about the queen. He goes literally, this is how detailed this man is. And only Jack would do this. He gives each person a nickname that's in the story. I asked him, I said, do they need to be anonymous? And he's like, no, I even listed their names. I just think their nicknames are funny. And then gives like a brief description of them. So let me just tell you one just as an example, because I'm not going to read them all. Again, we'd be here forever. But he's got Mary as her nickname. And then in her pronouns, she, her. And then in parentheses, Mary, in case you didn't know. That Mary. Was Mary. Got it. Yeah. And he says middle school counselor, booze preference, double rum and Diet Coke tall. I'm like, you included everybody's in this little ghost story, everybody's booze preference. Oh my gosh. So then I will read his. Jerk Jacobs. He named himself Jerk Jacobs. And his pronouns are he, him, and in parentheses, Jack. Elementary school educator. Booze preference, vodka, lemonade, or Rumpelmans extra chilled. He's so silly. So, by the way, there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in this story. So he gave that description for all of them. Again, you can read it whenever we figure out how to post this if you would like to read more, but they are pretty funny. So you should definitely go back in there. So basically, this is the part I'm going to retell. They're all sitting poolside. They have their own drag show. I guess they've hired somebody to be the drag queen, and they're there and they're performing and they're having so much fun. They're having a blast that we were not invited to, but whatever.
It sounds amazing.
It really does. And so they're having a great time. And he does say that, like, he describes the area, and it's kind of like this, there's lots of trees in the backyard, and there's like little woodland creatures running around. And
that's awesome.
I know. He describes it beautifully. And again, we were not invited. I'm going to try not to be salty and bitter about this all the way through, but it gets even cooler what they do afterwards. So anyway, they do see at one point, like a cardinal that keeps like popping up, and kind of, it's like very prominent. They all kind of noticed it. They pointed it out.
Yeah.
And this is important for later. So they all notice this cardinal and they're enjoying it. Well, then they decide to, and all take separate vehicles except for he and one other person did ride together, but she has a very big SUV, so they were spread apart. I mean, he went into detail. So he and I'll give you the nickname of this person, the Bard, and it's she, her, Jenny. They ride together. Okay. So they're on their way, they're riding together, and she's like, okay, there's a million different ways to get to your house. My GPS just pulled up like 3 or 4 different ways. Should I take this way or the expressway? And so he kind of cut her off and he said, just take the back way. This back way, we've had signs all day long with that cardinal. Let's just take the back way. And then they go. Okay. So that's the first half of the story. Where were they headed to? You might want to know. To his farmhouse to get a medium reading. A Zoom from your movie. That's what made me think of that movie that you said. They're going to get a reading from a medium that's going to happen. So he did also go into some scary details about his farmhouse that I think are kind of interesting.
Okay.
Like, for example, they noticed after they bought the house that the previous creepy owner, this is his writing now, it's 1940s farmhouse that sits on a fairly large plot of land. A previous creepy owner at one point installed sensors on every door inside the house. Inside the house. That's what he says.
That's so weird. Why?
Isn't that? Yeah. Well, he says there were tons of interior doors, and there are there's a million. Yeah,
I've been there,
and all of them had a sensor. There was an alarm system connected to all the doors. It was always creepy to wonder why this was. I'll let you all do your podcast thing now about why someone would ever do this. I love that part. But I do wonder if he owned a white windowless van too. Whoa.
Right. That sounds so creepy.
Yeah, right. And so he goes, shrug and pained face.
I have been to Jack's house, and if I had to be kidnapped, it's not a bad place.
Oh, I know. It's beautiful. It was beautiful.
Of course, I've only seen it after.
Yeah. After he renovated it and put his Jack touch onto it. Yeah. He said, my sweetheart Andrew and I decided to move because it was too big for just the two of us. He did say at one point while they were showing the house, this man came through and said it is actually haunted. Like, he verified because he said his family lived there when he was a little kid, and his 2 older siblings were 100% sure that the house was haunted. It really did show multiple signs being haunted by a nice ghost. And I, for one, thought this would be a great selling point. So Jack was like, we're going to include that when we try to sell the house.
Of course. Did his family put the sensors on? Did he ask them about that?
Oh, good question, Jack. You need to write in and tell us. Okay, so then he's like, back to the staycation. That was just a little sidebar that was about 2 pages long that I summarized for you. Okay, so now they are at the Zoom meeting. This man includes a diagram. Right here. Look, page like 5 or 6. There's a diagram right there about where his skepticism lies. Oh. Before this Zoom call happened. Okay.
He does know that podcasts are audio only.
Yes,
right?
Exactly right. Well, he did say when I texted him later, he was like, really, that writing was just for you all. You can do whatever you want with it. I was like, oh my gosh. So anyway, basically before the reading happened, he was excited to see what would happen, but he was like pretty skeptical.
Right.
And then after the first reading, he became even more skeptical because she basically was just talking about what a wonderful woman Mary was or is. And we all know that Mary is.
That is true.
Yes, Mary is a fabulous, but basically that she's here to be a helper.
Yeah.
Which is true. That's her job. She does help all the time. She helps us all the time. She's great. But he was like, that was so vague. So his skepticism went even further on that scale. Like, whatever. This is, he just wasn't into it.
Right.
But then he gets into, okay, I said I was only going to read 2. How are we doing on time?
We're okay.
Okay. Because then I just think this is hilarious. Kim, our friend Kim, who he nicknames Meemaw, not very nice, but but he nicknames her Meemaw, and this one is pretty like, okay. So the vagueness and etherealness of Mary's reading was shattered within the first few sentences of Meemaw's reading. It went something like this: Medium, is one of your teeth hurting? Meemaw, yes. Medium, like in the back of your mouth? Meemaw, yes, I actually have an appointment scheduled for this week. Oh. At another point, the medium was convinced that giving birth was an issue for Meemaw. Meemaw was good at not revealing too much. She replied truthfully that she did have a son. The medium weirdly pressured Meemaw, almost like, "Are you sure you didn't have issues giving birth?" And inferred that she couldn't understand how Meemaw had a child. At this point, Meemaw finally revealed that she had, in fact, adopted her son and did not give birth.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, so Meemaw's reading was so different from Mary's.
Thanks.
Meemaw's was the most specific reading and the most direct.
Huh,
Okay, so we will read his because he is the one that wrote in, and it is pretty fascinating. Okay, so I didn't know what to expect. He was the third in line to read this. So first one, didn't believe it. Second one, like, oh, whoa, what's going on? This might be real. Now, so he's kind of going up on that diagram of like maybe believing something now. So this is Jerk Jacobs reading.
You said it, not me.
Yeah, well, he wrote it. Okay. I didn't know what to expect, but I was excited for my reading. As mentioned earlier, Mary, I feel like I have to read that every time because that's what he wrote.
You really don't. You can just say Mary.
Well, that's okay. I'm going to do it. He's the author. Mary is what's known as a light worker. A light worker, not like she doesn't work very hard.
She works so hard.
She works the light really well. A light worker. Meemaw didn't get a label. I really wasn't expecting a label. Moreover, I was more interested in past lives. Little did I know that there's a type of being that's reincarnated lots. Past lives galore. Okay, so there's a type of person if you have been...
Yeah.
Okay. Out of the gate, the medium said she'd only met 2 people like me ever. And I'm like, of course, Jack. Of course that damn medium stroked that ego. Was like, I've only met one other person like you. Oh, I'm just teasing. FYI, kind of. FYI, she's been doing this professionally for like 15 to 20 years. So she's not some clairvoyant noob. Apparently, I'm what's known as a star seed. The way she explained it is that I came from another planet and have been reincarnated thousands of times throughout the universe.
That does make sense.
Yeah, it is. It's literally from a different planet. Star seeds are advanced spiritually and even have psychic abilities and the ability to communicate with other beings throughout the universe. She said that many star seeds work to change the injustices in the world, and many of my past lives ended in tragedy due to fighting for justice. Now, I will say that since I have known Jack, he is a change agent. Like he is for change and justice. I mean, that is what drives this man. You know? So he sees an injustice. He is going to call it out and he will fight to the death for it. I mean, like, I believe that with him. So when I was reading this, like, oh my gosh, that is pretty wild. Then the other part of him was like, oh my Lord, this is going to make his Batman complex go through the roof because that man thinks he's Batman. But so this whole, like, he's a superhero thing, but we'll go even further out of control, but that's okay because maybe he really is one. Okay. So the viewing gallery could only see my face. Every member of the pod knew what she looked like though, which is some sort of combination of average. It was all the more memorable and weird. When she got to the point of my murder, her face changed to an uncomfortable, like, I don't even really want to tell you about this, but I guess I have to. I think she apologized too. She said, well, you were shot in the back of the head like this, as she placed the ring and pointer finger of her gun-shaped hand to the back of her head, which at first you think that's very descriptive, but this is why he describes it. And this is weird because I'll tell you why in a minute. And then told me that my last words before told me what my last words before I was shot. I do have, and he didn't include that. I'm like, well, what were they?
Oh gosh.
I know, right? Out of all these pages, Jack, that's the part you leave out. I do have a small raised skull bump in that exact location. I've had it my whole life. He's referenced that a million times with me. So I know it's there. Like he would always like pretend like it was going to do something weird, you know, like feel that. And then it's nothing, you know, but, so that's weird. He's always really had that. He's always pointed it out and it was right where she was pointing.
Oh my gosh. Ooh, that gives me chills.
Right.
That's really weird.
Right. I do have a small raised skull bump in that exact location I've had my whole life. And yes, I've noticed it my whole life and I have had this weird feeling about it. And I'm not talking about like body image issues. I'm talking weird, apparently starseed feelings.
Oh.
Yeah. So by the way, she told me that the other starseed she knows is her boyfriend/partner, which struck me as interesting and also a bit weird.
It's a bit weird.
Right. I found my own reading really interesting. When our medium does a reading, she records the sessions and shares the recordings with you. So I have my recording, and it's so interesting. Contact me if you ever want to do a reading together. I'm 100% game.
Yes, I want to. Consider this me contacting you.
Yeah.
I better be invited next time.
Also, poolside. I'm sorry, that pool part has to happen with the drag queen as well. We're just going to have to recreate that whole day since we didn't get invited, but whatever. It was all weird. The topic of neurodiversity.
Okay.
Right? When mixed with a first-time reading and learning about being a starseed was fascinating to me. But you'll have to reach out to the podesses for their perspective. I don't remember much of their reaction because my pits were leaking and there was a lot happening on the screen and in my head. He does go into this whole thing earlier about like when they were reading Meemaw's, about how he started noticing he was sweating, and like that doesn't normally happen to him unless he's outside and really hot, but he was like in an air conditioned place, and like all of a sudden he started getting really like, what is going on? And like he goes into great detail about his pits leaking. It's really, really funny. But okay, so then this is how it ends. And this is Jenny's story.
Okay.
But her nickname is the Bard, which I fully looked up. That means a poet.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I saw your confused face. I'm like, it's okay. I was too. It's someone who writes poetry. It was a weird experience to be read following someone. Meemaw's was darker and sadder than ours. It was also a little funnier due to the frankness. The medium might as well have been like, girl, your teeth are jacked. Go see a dentist. I don't know what was going on in the Bard's mind walking up to the reading chair, but I do know that when we started, she seemed to be the most skeptical.
Okay.
So Jenny goes, Meghann, well, had I been there, I would have been the most skeptical, Jack. That's all right. Okay. Jerk.
It sounded like an insult the way you said his name.
Well, I meant it that way. Invite me next time and I won't. But remember, even on my own skeptical spectrum scale, I was fairly skeptical before Mary, and then really skeptical after her, and then sort of a believer after Meemaw. My assumption is the Bard fluctuated on the skeptical spectrum scale as well. But I was still not expecting what happened next. The medium focused on two names that were being more present during the Bard's reading, Kitty and Brian. Kitty and Brian were the Bard's guardian angels. The Bard didn't make a huge connection to Kitty until later. Most of the conversation focused on Brian. Brian is the Bard's uncle, whom she never met because he died in a car wreck along with his mother before she was born.
Oh.
I know, but she knew all about Brian because her mom talked about him throughout her life. The medium brought Brian's message to the Bard, and they talked quite a bit about Brian. The medium told the Bard that Brian is her guardian angel, and in our world, he is a cardinal.
Oh, wow.
So you remember, okay, so in the beginning of the story, they saw that cardinal.
Yeah.
And then Jack said that, let's not take the expressway.
Oh my gosh. So what would have happened if they had taken the expressway?
Right. So he says, the Bard's viewing gallery. This would have been a mic drop for Sister Erin and the believers. When the medium talked about the cardinal being her guardian angel, I was like, holy balls. At that point in real time, the Bard was still being read. I'm sure I made a face. My head might have shook a little, and my tiny slits for eyes surely grew as much as they could. But I didn't see the same reaction on her face. I looked at the other podesses, but remembered that they weren't in the car with us, so they didn't hear him make that remark. I could just see this going down because this is exactly Jack. Every faculty meeting, Jack and I used to work together. That's how we met. Every faculty meeting, he would try to whisper things to me, and I'm like, "Stop! We are going to get in trouble." Like, and now he's the principal. But every single time, I'm like, I knew he was going to make me laugh, and I couldn't understand what he was saying because he talked so quiet. I'm like, "Stop! You are going to make me get in trouble," and I hated that feeling. So of course, he tries to explain this to them while they're all trying to listen to this medium. Okay, he says. But they weren't in the car with us. I think I leaned over and tried to explain what happened, maybe to Moms. we were driving over there, ... I saw a cardinal, ... at your pool. That I told her not to take the expressway because the cardinal told me not to. For those who know the jerk, that's him, my conversations are often choppy like this, and I have a feeling that most people shake their heads and just say, uh-huh, but really...
Oh no, he's on to us.
He's on to all of us, but really might not always understand jerkish, which I'm like, no, they're doing that. They'd be like, shut up, you're going to get us in trouble. Yeah, I get it. Okay, as soon as the bard wrapped up and came back to the viewing gallery, I leaned in hard with a what the fuck is happening posture. Epilogue.
Oh, okay.
The bard did remember the cardinal. This damn paper has an epilogue. The bard did remember the cardinal comment in the car. From the bard's perspective, she asked which way was the better way to go. I said something like, since the cardinal showed up, you got to go this way. She, under her breath, said, huh? And I said something about it being a sign. So she was kind of like, I vaguely even remember that.
Right.
But, you know.
Yeah.
Later, she said, when we were in the car, I'm like, what's this guy talking about? But didn't ask you to explain because you were in the middle of a story when I interrupted you for directions. I've explained to her that I don't know why I said that about the cardinal. It just came out. But maybe the bard does have a guardian angel. Maybe the bard does have guardian angels, and maybe I am a starseed who can communicate with other beings across time and dimensions. Maybe Mary is a light worker, and maybe, just maybe, Meemaw's got some fucked up teeth. By the way, it was during the bard's reading that she gained her moniker. Apparently, in a past life, she was a bard, and I see cardinals most days that I see the bard.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I know.
Oh, that really ended so nicely.
I know. I like tease him about it being 10 pages, but I'm like, I kind of get why. He could have condensed that a lot, but it was beautiful, right? I enjoyed reading it, so I really do want to put it out there so other people can read it,
right?
Because, I'm thinking specifically just about, all those people who put those big words in their writing when they write to us. They're gonna love his writing. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think we'll have to figure that out because it was a great story. It was just long, but I love it.
It was really good. How I understand, none of that can be proven.
Yeah. Well, I've said this before. Mediums, I'm in the middle about.
Yeah. Is there anything you could debunk about Kim's teeth?
Only thing I thought about, because I have watched like some shows where mediums have been fakes. Like I've actually, I can't remember what the name of the show was, but like that was their job.
Wow.
Was to like be fake mediums. So it showed like their scam.
Oh my god.
So I wondered if maybe she put something on Facebook.
Okay.
And that same with Crystal, because she as much as she posts about her son.
Oh yeah, I can see that about Crystal.
Right.
But Kim is like, I love
She's pretty
Kim.
private.
She's pretty private. I can't imagine.
I hope she didn't mind that story being in there, but he said he asked them all, I think so.
Yeah, I can't imagine her. And she also never complains.
Yeah.
She's like a saint. I love Kim.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine her,
Right.
ever posting anything about herself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, this hurts.
Yeah.
Even in a joking way. She's hilarious, but like, that's not her style.
Right. She's tough.
She's so tough.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, though, I'm a little more open to mediums, so okay. I'm not so much like searching to have to debunk them, except for that, like, I would be like a skeptic of my own if I had my own medium reading. I think I would be a little bit more skeptical.
We'll just have to go ahead and do it.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Poolside with a drag queen. That's the only way.
Hunt Memorial Glass creates custom glass artwork using the cremation ashes of your loved one. They offer affordable, custom-designed glass jewelry, personalized glass sculptures, and beautiful glass marbles that you and your family will cherish. Please visit Hunt Memorial Glass on Facebook or email them at huntmemorialglass@gmail.com.
Okay, so first of all, you read that beautifully.
Thank you so much.
Yes, so professionally. But I'm very excited to promote this business because Maya is one of the glass workers and owners, I believe, of this company. And I've known him for years. And he and his sister, and I'm not sure who else is a part of this, but they do beautiful work. Like that, we just sat here scrolling through all of their pictures.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It's beautiful. So, whether you're a believer or a skeptic of ghosts, everybody wants to memorialize their loved ones.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
what a cool way to, really represent. And like you can wear as beautiful jewelry.
Beautiful, beautiful necklaces. And then even pets. Like they had a sun catcher with a little paw print that has the dog's ashes. I was like, oh, if I had thought that with Corley, So anyway, my whole point is that this is just beautiful artwork. First of all, beautiful artwork. And then to have that sentimental part attached to it. I really believe in this product. I think it's beautiful and just a wonderful way to honor your loved ones if they pass on.
It's gorgeous. I think you should all check out that Facebook page. I definitely followed it as soon as I saw it. It's incredible. What a cool way to remember your loved ones.
Yes. So I know that was long and it might make our episode go over a little bit more than what it normally does, but I think it was worth it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun getting to reminisce about Jack and all of our fun times we never had around the pool with a drag show.
Not to mention a lot of my friends. A lot of
our friends. Man, what? It really is just because we have kids. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself. I mean.
Yeah. Gosh, right? I hope that's the reason. It does sound legit, but
we're going to go with that. I mean, if you're listening, you're one of those, 5 or 6 people, you just go ahead and tell us that's the reason why we weren't invited.
That's not the reason why, you have some explaining to do.
That's right. And if it is the reason why, listen, we will trade off. I'll watch your kids one week, you watch my kid. We will make this shit work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we got that out of the way.
That's important.
Right.
Okay, so I am going to read one last story tonight because we've been adding more stories. And it is a little bit long, so I'm just going to get right to it. This is from one of our fans, from the Facebook group. So this is from Jason, and he did how he's a medium. Oh. So, which makes more sense when I read this. I don't know if I want to ask you right now
what my debunking is before I've even
no,
heard
no, but like there's something
I'll give it.
Okay, no, I'm just going to go ahead and read it, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That makes more sense. Hello.
Okay.
So it says, "Hey, ladies. As promised, here are a couple stories from the haunted hotel I worked at. The hotel I worked at is called the Enders Hotel." It's a terrible name.
Who would stay there? The Enders.
The Enders.
Oh my gosh, that's terrifying.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hey, honey, why don't we just go over to the Enders and end this whole thing? I mean, that's crazy. It's so funny. I don't know who named that, but they are not good at PR.
No. It is the second most haunted place in Southeast Idaho. Side note, the most haunted place in Southeast Idaho is Pocatello High School. Pocatello.
Still not as scary as the Enders.
Right, but I would love to hear students of a high school be like, oh yeah, this shit's haunted. Let me tell you.
Right? Let me tell you about my haunted high school.
Yeah, so if you're a listener and you go to Pocatello or
you went to a high school that was haunted,
that's a good one. That is good. Okay, so I must tell you that the hotel, now look, Jason is trying to get us here because he knows our weakness, is a spiritual nexus. Or, thankfully, he explains, a strong point of spiritual energy. The city cemetery is approximately 200 feet away from the hotel. The hotel is home to 4 ghosts, a man, a woman, and 2 children, a boy and a girl. The boy is around 8 years old and the girl is around 5 or 6. All of the spirits are peaceful and have never injured or harmed anyone. Quite frequently, there are other spirits that wander through the hotel. Some of them come from the nearby cemetery, and others, which I have nicknamed drifters, come attached to hotel guests. The children do like to play pranks on the employees and hotel guests. The little boy plays more pranks than the girl. The little girl has been known to wander the hallways at night. Several hotel guests ask if someone is missing a child because they have seen a little girl wandering around in the hallways.
If you stayed at this hotel, I want to hear your account.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think there's anything sadder than a child ghost, though.
I know, but this story kind of makes it a little bit better. But it is really sad. I do totally agree. The little boy likes to throw loaves of bread at the kitchen staff, turn off the lights in the kitchen and the basement, and he also likes to turn off the cooking equipment. I was a cook, so I experienced this quite frequently. One of their favorite places to be is in the museum on the second floor of the hotel. The little girl is always in the same room at the end of the hall where there is a large dollhouse that she likes to play with. Every night I had to go lock up the museum at the end of my shift. It was not uncommon for me to see the little boy or the little girl in the museum. I had encountered them many times, but on one particular night I had a pretty awesome experience with them. I had gone to lock up the museum. At the top of the stairs is the hall that had a fire escape at one end and the entrance to the museum at the other end. First, I went to make sure that the fire escape door was locked. In the hall sits a large antique wooden cabinet. As I walked by the cabinet, I noted that the doors on the front of it were closed. I checked the door and turned to walk toward the museum when I saw that the doors of the cabinet were now open. No one was staying in the hotel at the time, and the cabinet doors are heavy and not easy to open. As I was closing the cabinet doors, I could hear children's laughter coming from the museum.
Whoa. And he wasn't scared?
It's a really fast no thank you.
Yeah.
He seems very cool with these ghosts. I walked into the museum and had begun closing the doors of the individual rooms when I heard the little girl laughing. I closed the door in front of me and turned to walk down the hall when I noticed the little girl standing in the middle of the hall. And that's why I want to be like, did you see her because you're a medium? Or if I had been standing there, would I have seen her?
Yeah, it's a very good question. This whole time, once you said he was medium, I was like, oh, okay, so because he is so specific about like their ages, their children, boy, girl, husband, whatever. He's very specific about who these ghosts are. That, if a loaf of bread got thrown at me, I don't know that I'd be like, that's that little boy. So I'm wondering he must, because he's a medium, feel like he has these. Okay.
So she's standing in the middle of the hall, just to catch you back up. She had her back to me and slowly started walking down the hall away from me. I assumed she was going to play with the dollhouse as usual, but suddenly she stopped and looked into one of the rooms and said, come out, wherever you are. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. And I almost laughed, opposite reaction of what I would have, but okay.
Screamed.
Yeah, almost peed my pants.
Right?
From behind me, I could hear the little boy laughing. Oh, there's like between them.
Yeah, don't like that. No, don't like that at all.
The little girl again said, come out, wherever you are. She then began to wander the hallways, going from room to room, looking for the little boy. I had no idea ghosts played hide and seek, but it was interesting to watch. That is one word for it. She noticed that I was watching, but seemed unfazed by it. She was now only a foot from me, standing by the door. I was about to close when again she called out, come out, wherever you are. Suddenly the little boy ran through me and ran down the hall past the little girl laughing. Having a ghost pass through you is something you don't forget. The best way to describe it is like having a cold gust of wind blow through the inside of your body. It gave me goosebumps and made me feel a bit nauseous. I swear my heart skipped a beat when he ran through me. They then began to chase each other from room to room, up and down the halls, passing straight through the closed doors. They continued chasing each other.
I thought you were going to say, continue to pass straight through me. I'm like, get out of the way, man. Get out of the way. They're trying to play a game. Back up against the wall and watch.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
They continued chasing each other for about 5 more minutes, and then they disappeared. It was an interesting experience for sure. So apparently J.K. Rowling got it wrong. It doesn't feel like spider webs. It just feels very cold.
Well, I think when you say J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, no, she gets a lot wrong.
She got some things wrong.
I'm so
disappointed.
I don't even want to get into how sad I am that she sucks so hard.
But she does.
She does, and we don't support her anymore, and I won't give any money to Harry Potter ever again. Okay, moving on. I have one other interesting experience from the hotel to share with you, and this is my favorite part of this story.
Okay.
It is the only experience I have had where one of our ghosts was angry with someone who had been provoking them. On this day, I had only been at work for about an hour, and our kitchen conversation was about the ghosts in the building. My prep cook, who we'll call Adam, was quite a skeptic and always said he didn't believe in ghosts and often said ghosts don't exist. As I was telling him about some of the things I'd experienced, he interrupted me and said, dude, ghosts aren't real. He then proceeded to start taunting the ghosts by saying, if there really are ghosts here, then why don't they give us a sign? Come on, do something. Show me that you are here. I cautioned him against provoking them, especially since the old man ghost didn't tolerate people who provoked him. Adam scoffed and said, see, I told you nothing would happen. Stupid fucking ghosts anyways. The kitchen lights flickered, and suddenly there was a loud crash in the back room of the kitchen. Adam jumped and said, what the fuck was that? I don't know why that's my voice for Adam, but it is.
I'm totally picturing him.
Okay, cool.
But, yeah, you're painting a great picture of Adam.
We walked to the back room and we saw that one of the shelves from the wall was now lying on the ground. Adam said skeptically, that wasn't the ghost. The shelf just fell off the wall.
I'm with Adam.
He's doing all your work for you.
I know. Thank you, Adam.
I told him that it was not possible for the shelf to have fallen off the wall. The shelves that were on the wall in the back room were heavy shelves that were anchored to the wall, so there is no way it could have just fallen off. Sounds like carpentry information that I don't understand fully.
Yeah, I'm like, also physics would prove that wrong, Adam. At some point, things deteriorate.
Now, let me explain the scene of the room. As you enter the room, there are 3 stairs to go up. On the left side of the stairs is the wall where the shelves are, and on the right side of the stairs is a beverage cooler and a prep table. The shelf that had fallen was the topmost shelf, and it had come off the wall and was lying on the floor in front of the cooler, which is 10 feet away. Side note, if the shelf had simply just fallen off the wall, it would have been lying on the stairs, which are directly under it. We cleaned up the broken dishes and got out a ladder to put the shelf back on the wall. When I climbed the ladder, I noticed that the anchors for the shelf were still locked. Sounds like something I do need to Google, because that does sound interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I told Adam, and the look on his face turned to fear. After we got the shelf back on the wall and returned to the cook line, Adam told me he definitely believes in ghosts now. I asked him what had changed his mind.
That's Adam.
No, wait. There's more.
Oh, okay.
I asked him what had changed his mind, and he said that in addition to the shelf accident, he had experienced something in the back room. He said that while we were putting the shelf back up, he felt a hand on his shoulder and heard a man's voice say, "You need to stop. Don't push me." Oh my gosh. Shut up. No, thank you. He said when he turned to see who it was, there was no one there. I told him that the old man didn't like to be provoked and didn't like loud noises. I told him that he should apologize to the old man, but I'm not sure if he did. Adam definitely became a believer that day. And then he finishes very nice. He says, I have many more stories from the hotel to share with you as I worked there for 12 years, but I will save them for another time. Love your podcast. Keep up the good work, ladies. Don't stop doing what you do. It helps more people than you know.
Oh, well, thank you, Jason.
I know. It was so nice.
That's awesome. I love that ending. I loved all of it.
I love that.
That ending. No, I love the ending mostly because he says, don't stop what you're doing. So I won't, Jason. I'm going to debunk, do it. No, I'm kidding. As far as Adam's little tale at the end goes, I will say, something falling. Again, there's physics around that that you would have to have a scientist laser beam things to show you exactly how they could fall. It can, I feel like that can be debunked. But then him, as far as feeling something and hearing a sound, I'm going to go ahead and guess Adam was probably pretty freaked out by that point because he kind of had challenged something out loud, so I feel like maybe his mind was playing a little bit of a trick on him.
Oh, I don't know. I've had that experience where it feels like somebody is just whispering in your ear. It's so scary.
Well, tell Kevin to stop. Yeah, I don't know. But, and then as far as, it sounds like Jason, has a little bit, he's very sensitive to something, and like I said before, I don't doubt mediums do exist. I more of like a medium could maybe predict energy. I'm more of like current energy.
But wouldn't that be a past life energy?
No, I feel like once a life is done, it's done.
You think nothing at all happens?
I don't know. I don't know as far as like if your spirit goes somewhere. I don't know. I mean, we're going to get into a whole lot of like what I do. Like that to me is, I'm not arrogant enough to say that it absolutely nothing happens, like that I know definitively that nothing happens. But I'm
Okay.
also not arrogant enough to say that I know exactly where that spirit goes when,
I am. They're here. A lot of them.
a lot of them are still here.
Most of them.
So I don't know. But as far as ghosts being like, as far as a medium knowing about ghosts, to me that pushes it. But I feel like a medium could feel your energy, because I have had situations where, like, when you walk into a room and you can feel the tension,
Right.
that's energy. Nothing else is happening. Not a
Right.
sound is happening. You're like, what is going on in here? So to me, it's like, okay, that does exist, even though you can't see it.
Yeah.
And so I believe a little bit more in that, but like current energy that's right here, right now. Now, Adam, I'm not going to go around taunting and being like, well, if you're here, you come out. I'm not that dumb either.
Who are you, like that rooster from Blue Jays? Well, I'm going to tell you. What is that name?
No.
Foghorn?
I don't know what you're talking
Leghorn
about.
something.
What are you talking about?
The rooster is real southern.
Picture the rooster.
Well, come on, everybody. Come on, ghost, come at me.
Oh, yes, I do know. I love that rooster.
It makes me think of Mom for some reason.
Me too.
Oh, no, we're both
crying.
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna pee my pants. Why does that make us think of Mom? It really does. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh, I know who that is. It's like is it Mom's favorite? Oh my gosh.
Oh boy, that really got me going.
That got me crying. Because why would that one character that I've not thought of in years, as soon as I figured out who you're talking about, I was like, oh, that's like such a great...
that's exactly what you sounded like, right?
I don't know. I have to go back and listen to it, but it is.
I'm going to have to look up his name now because it's driving me crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I can
Foghorn Leghorn.
Foghorn Leghorn. Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Now, come here, ghost. That's what he said.
I wasn't even trying to channel my inner Foghorn Leghorn. What's his name? Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah, it's a weird name. I don't know why.
Oh my gosh, this has gone way far. Sorry, Jason. You had a great story. Really, I don't know. Other than like, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't even watch Ghost Adventures because that jerk Zach Bagans always provokes the ghost. I'm like, just stop.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like at some point that's kind of disrespectful, even though I don't fully believe that it's there. It's kind of disrespectful to believers, who believe.
Yeah.
But also to,
if you're wrong, then what kind of jackass are you?
I'm not arrogant.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying
no, I know. No, I got that. But I'm saying like, I'm not gonna sit here and say for sure I am right and you are wrong.
Right.
Never. That is not where I'm coming from. I'm just saying it hasn't happened enough to me. It's happened a little bit to me, but it hasn't had enough to make me a believer. So why would I want to tempt fate to make something terrifying, like legitimately, like right. Adam, come on. That was just, come on, dude. Don't be rude to ghosts. There's no reason.
Don't be rude to anybody.
How about we all just be not dicks?
Yeah, let's not be dicks to anybody.
Quit the dickery.
Alive or dead.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, that still got me laughing. That big rooster making us think of Mom. I have no idea why. We're gonna have to ask her. I wonder if she did an impersonation of. I could almost see her.
I know I can too.
Oh man,
I think she just really liked Looney Tunes. Maybe
she really did.
Secretly had stock in the company or something.
Yeah, maybe she's pushing on us or something. We never bit though. I hate Looney Tunes.
Oh, I'm okay with it. Except for Pepe Le Pew. Yeah. Cancel culture. Cancel him.
Yeah,
he sucks.
Yeah. There's probably a lot in there we could cancel.
Yeah, probably.
Oh my gosh. Let's wrap this up. Sorry, we went way. But here's the thing. Also, we're all snowed in. So what else are you doing? Wash your dishes and listen to us.
Are you our Texas fan? You're snowed in.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
That's right.
I don't know about any other place in the world.
Yeah, the other people are like, "Oh, would you wrap this up?"
They stopped listening.
Yeah, they a long time ago.
That's not.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Yeah, it was a long episode, but it was fun. I feel like we laughed a lot and got some good stories out there. And other than that, be safe in all the snow. Just stay home.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so you can find us on social media at Fans of Facebook.
Oh my gosh,
we
have to say our fan favorite.
just said fans of Facebook.
Okay, good. So just you do that. Oh my gosh, that's
Tell
hilarious.
us your fan.
Okay, I'm so excited. I did not almost forget her because I have been so excited. I have kept this one in my pocket. Okay, so this is Stephanie. You've heard us talk quite a bit about Stephanie on our little podcast here. And the reason why we're picking her is because for several reasons. I mean, first of all, she was one of the very first people to submit a story.
Yeah.
And we read her story. It was great. And then she's actually submitted a couple of stories at this point. And she just supports us.
I know.
In lots of different ways.
She
Sends
gave
us
us
articles.
all the information for our coffee and cryptids.
Yes. How'd y'all like that? Y'all like that coffee and cryptids,
We're
didn't
gonna
you?
try
We
to make
snuck
that
in.
Are we making it a weekly thing?
I don't know. We're being non-committal.
Yes,
We're
that's
gonna be
true.
like Lizzo and non-committal.
I don't know if that's a Lizzo line.
She talks about something in a bad way though. I think he's like gonna be non-committal.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
just know that when she says it, it sounds really cool. So I try to be her for a second.
yeah, I might cut.
I don't think it delivered quite like I wanted it to, but we're gonna be non-committal. We're not gonna say weekly. We said just like when we get a little slot of time. But I'm gonna go ahead and start researching mine so that if it like pops up that it's this weekend, we have some time.
Okay,
we'll just throw it out there. So it's just gonna be like a surprise. You never know what it's gonna come.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah,
but it was basically Stephanie's idea.
It was. Well, yeah, Stephanie kind of said, hey, what it'd be really cool if we could start hearing some of your ideas on cryptids. And there are a lot in Kentucky. And so then she started sending me articles about these cryptids in Kentucky. And she does amazing art, you all. Like,
yeah, it's beautiful.
Amazing. I may have already ordered some.
I have a mask she made that says it's supposed to go over your nose.
yeah, which is great. I love that. Like she's kind of snarky and funny and sassy, and her art comes through in her art. But she she does these beautiful prints, and so I am going to promote her right now because she has promoted us quite a bit. So you can find her stuff on. You can go to Etsy, her Etsy page, which is Print Arcana. And it is capital. Does it matter what the capital is? Last time you made fun of me because I said capital.
I can't imagine, but we'll put it in our notes.
Okay. You can find her Etsy page at Print Arcana, which has all of her artwork that you can buy there.
I love it.
I love it. Her masks that she makes are great. She's got this really, really cool one that it says Kentucky Natives, and it's got one of the little green men, but it's really a gray man because it really was a gray man.
That's right.
So they said. The goat man and a Bigfoot in like with the background of Kentucky. It's really cool.
Yeah, I want it framed.
I know, right? So you can get that. Okay. No, she does say I have an Instagram for my shop too, and it's at Print Arcana. So and then she does that her personal Instagram. I'm a little confused about that. Is that for us or is that for everybody?
I'd say that's for us.
Okay, so
you can really love her, then send her a message
and ask her what her personal information is, and she'll decide for herself whether she wants to give it or not. But anyway,
her address is
exactly. She's lovely. She's awesome.
Lovely. Ding,
lovely.
ding,
ding, ding. Drink.
Mark that on your bingo.
Every time Meghann says lovely, you have to drink. That's a new drink. No, but she also she's librarian. She's from Kentucky. Like we found out all of these things that we kind of I'm not a librarian, clearly, but
she works at a school.
She works at a school. Stephanie is awesome.
Yes, we love Stephanie.
Kind of want to be Stephanie. Kind of want Stephanie to have her own podcast, but then she would really show us up.
Yeah, Stephanie, if you get your own podcast,
Stephanie.
Only tell us. Don't tell all of our fans. They'll all go to you.
Right. Don't tell any of our fans.
They'll go to the source.
Oh, but she's so great. So I will post all of that on Facebook and Instagram so that you guys can find her stuff easily. And we just want to say thanks to all of our fans. And again, you're in line. Already know you're sitting there listening going, well, what about me? And don't worry, I know exactly who you are. You're in my brain for next time.
Oh man, I am not that good. If you want to follow us on Instagram at My Skeptical Sister. You can follow us on Twitter at My Skeptical Sis1. I don't even know how that happened, but that's we're there.
Really weird.
I don't even know if there's a one. I think it's My Skeptical Sis.
Okay.
I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah. If you want to join us on Facebook, which is probably where we're most active, you go to just search search My Skeptical Sister. We're called Fans of My Skeptical Sister, but you'll find us. And we're on there all the time.
Yes.
And then if you want to send us your scary stories, especially, email those at myskepticalsister@gmail.com.
Nailed it.
Thank you so much. It took a lot of concentration after so much wine. And our beautiful image art is done by my daughter, Sophie. We will edit this shortly, and that's
Have a
about
good
it.
night. Yeah.
La 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 la.